Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we'll be doing another What's It Worth? And obviously, things are going to be a little bit more different. Once again, I'm going to be on my alt account, Yelena, as we can see at the top right, and obviously by my character. And obviously, we know that we did the Gamma Gleaming White Cosmiore video, so I think we're going to get straight into this. We're going to be doing the counterfeit to this, and obviously standing right behind me is going to be none other than the Gamma Black Cosmiore. And this bad boy was actually found by Blocky Max, so major shoutouts to you. Here's your socials. But with that being said, let's get straight into the facts. Now, this bad boy is going to be setting at a whopping 1 in 400,000 chance to find in the wild, since it is going to be double on its gleam boost. But before I go into the main GR portion, I want you guys to take everything I say from this point on with a grain of salt, as the GR can always change as well as the demand at any point. So obviously feel free to use this as a template if you wish, but don't fully refer to these as your full-on guide to values. That said, we can see this being a little bit more higher than the Gamma White just due to the preference and overall demand that it's probably going to get. So we're going to see some values as low as around 60 GR to around 85, pushing towards 90 GR max. With this being said, let's get straight into the trading process. All right, let's go in the chat. Let's obviously make this more realistic by saying trading Gamma Black Cosmiore, and boom. And now let's wait for offers. Alright, and our first trade request is coming from Mr_Chan99, so let's see what Chan has shared with us today. So we start off with a Gleam Grimuline Clumsy Nimble, a Christmas Fetronette Pure Clever, a Christmas Protagon Tender Clever, a Lifeguard Sharpod Pure Robust, a Rainbow Shachi Brawny Foolish, a Sandcastle Pyramine Pure Robust, and it's also going to be Idiosyncratic, a Gleam Fan Cup Dull Robust, multiple Power Fruits, and we're going to have a Rainbow Cinnamoth Pure Brawny. And it does seem like this may be Chan's final trade, but I'll quickly check in a second. Alright, and did just ask Chen as whether or not this is their final offer or not, and he did just say yes. So with this being said, is this trade worth it? I think it's pretty much obvious. This trade is going to have to be a major thumbs down. Do keep in mind that nothing really here is going to equate to 1 GR. If anything, maybe the Grimmy line is going to push towards some Gammas at best. But that being said, it's going to be a major thumbs down. Even if we do add more here, I don't think it's really going to push to a lot. The main chunk of value obviously is going to go to that Rainbow Cinnamoth, and that's about it. But with that being said, let's get into our next trade. All right, and our next trade request is coming from Super_Omar1000. So we'll see what Omar has shared with us today. So we start off with a Gamma Christmas Gravestone Pure Nimble, a Gleam Rainbow Alaguana Pure Smart, Gamma Ikuzune Pure Brawny, and it does seem like this may be Omar's final trade, but I'll quickly check in a second. Alright, I did just ask Omar as to whether or not this is his final offer or not, and he did just say yes. So with this being said, is this trade worth it? Unfortunately, this trade is going to be a thumbs down unless the value and the demand for the Rainbow Alaguana is going to go up. If that's the case, this trade is going to have to be a thumbs up. But obviously at the moment, until they rise, we're going to have to say this one's going to have to be a thumbs down. Main reason obviously is the GR for the Ikuzune is not going to be the greatest, since it's going to be pure brawny. So we're looking at around 6 to 7 for that. The Gamma Gravestone is going to be around 30 max, and we can see this Rainbow Alaguana being around 16 to nearly 20, but obviously it's going to be a little bit lower for now, but it will rise eventually, hopefully at least, just due to the fact that there's going to be a lot less of these in comparison to stuff such as the Rainbow Arceus and Glissadia, so just bear that in mind. But with this being said, let's get into our next trade. Alright, and our next and final trade request is coming from Gaming with Ben08, so let's see what Ben has to share with us today. So we start off with a Gleamy Halloween Blue Akalos Brawny Tender, a Gamma Blue Cosmiore Hyper Foolish, a Gleamy Halloween Yellow Akalos Pure Nimble, another one which is going to be indifferent, a Gleam Plush Kit Pure Brawny, another one yet again Pure Brawny, a Gamma Fisherman Shachi Pure Smart, a Gleam Sandcastle Pyramine Pure Smart, a Green Wisp Fairglyph Pure Robust, and it's also going to be Idiosyncratic, a Gamma Samarine Pure Brawny, a Halloween Dusket Red Pure Nimble, a Red Halloween Secret Ability Dakuda Smart Sluggish, a Gleam Surfer Wobblers Pure Nimble, and a Gleam Dusket Dull Clever. And it does seem like this may be Ben's final offer, but I'll quickly check in a second. Alright, and I did just confirm with Ben as whether or not this is his final offer or not, and he did just say I can do all this after we obviously had a back and forth. But with this being said, is this trade gonna be worth it? Personally, I think this trade is a massive thumbs up. As of now, it's definitely gonna be a great trade to take, mainly due to the fact that a lot of the values are gonna be very great, especially with their demand overall. Gleaming Halloween Akalos aren't the strongest in terms of their demand. They're around like decent to fair, but overall it isn't bad. Do keep in mind we're also getting stuff as the Halloween Dusket, which is gonna be almost a GR plus. We also get Gamma Shachi, the Sandcastle Pyramide, Gleam Plush Kits, the list goes on, and overall I think this is gonna be a great W to take. But with this being said, let's wrap this up and let's actually switch over to my main, and hopefully we can see if we get any different trades or just maybe a different treatment overall just for my offers. And now I'm actually on my main account, and yeah, I did actually change it up. So just for the sake of my style, you know, we just changed it up a little bit. Obviously I'm gonna change it back for him, but let's get straight into now this trading process, and hopefully we can see if we get any more different offers. So let's go in the chat and type in looking for offers on Gamma Black Cosmiore, and boom. And now let's wait for offers. Alright, and the next trade request is coming from RNZ_Oni, so let's see what Oni has to share with us today. Alright, so we start off with a Gamma Yellow Pattern Icicle Pure Nimble, a Gamma Eaglet Robust Foolish, a Gleam Cyan Fabergé Cayego Pure Nimble, an SA Soul Necta Frail Robust, and it does seem like this is gonna be Eon's, and it doesn't seem like this is gonna be Oni's final offer, but I'll quickly check in a second. And without even having to ask, Oni did just say yes, that's my offer. So with this being said, is this trade worth it? This trade is an obvious massive thumbs up. Do keep in mind that the Gamma Icicle alone is gonna be around 80 to 90 GR. Since it's gonna be pure nimble, it's not gonna be that full 100 plus GR, but it's still going to be a great amount of GR and demand to work with. In addition to this, the Gamma Eaglet as well is going to have very great demand and can get easily overpaid for that alone. And just with the other ads, it's not going to be the worst on the Solnecta. It could be better, but overall, everything together is a massive thumbs up. And with this being said, let's get into our next trade. All right, our next trade request is coming from Aaron Jagger 1230. So let's see what Aaron has to share with us today. So we start off with a Rainbow Cosmiore Indifferent, a Gamma Icicle, Tender Clever, a Gleam Ferroglyph, Pure Nimble, and Temper. And it does seem like this may be Aaron's final offer, but I'll quickly check in a second. All right, and I did just ask Aaron as to whether or not this is his final offer or not, and he did just say, yeah. So with this being said, is this trade worth it? Unfortunately, this trade is going to be a thumbs down. Do keep in mind that the Rainbow Cosmiore is going to be at max 1 GR, and that's if it's at its most perfect nature overall. And you know, it's not really there. Unfortunately, this is going to have to be a thumbs down. But with this being said, let's get into our next and final trade. All right, and our next and final offer is coming from iCharlie5. So let's see what Charlie has to share with us today. So he started off with a Gleam Cavendish, Brownie Sluggish, and straight to the point, Charlie did just say my offer. So with this being said, is this trade worth it? Do I even have to explain this? No. Unfortunately, I don't want to sound ruined anyway, but this is not even going to become close to 1 GR, let alone 1 Gamma. This is simply 1 Alpha. So with that being said, it's going to have to be a major thumbs down. But with this being said, let's wrap this trade up. So yeah, guys, that's going to be for today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy. Make sure to like and subscribe and join our Discord server. While you're at it, go cop some of our merch and join our Roblox group to see some new sneak and peeks for our upcoming merch. Hopefully, I'll get this out by next week, if not this weekend. So hopefully we can get some leaks out. But till then, stay tuned for that. But don't just stop there. Obviously, head on over to my TikTok, since I've actually been uploading there pretty recently with my new shorts. So obviously, I want to expand my content elsewhere as well at the same time. So if you guys can go ahead and follow that, or if you want to check that out, or just overall spread the word about it, it would mean a lot to me. Just, you know, grow my platform, not just only on YouTube, but across the majority of platforms. That would be amazing. Additionally, also expect a potential giveaway for 8,000 subscribers pretty soon, since we're on the track to hit this probably by the end of next week. So major shout out to everyone who's been subscribing lately and been watching these videos. Without your support, I wouldn't be here doing all this. So make sure to keep that up. You guys have been the absolute MVPs of 2025. With this being said, remember, pineapples are vegetables. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Stay safe. Peace.